All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Mr. Pick FX. All right, so if this is your first time here, ensure you click the subscription button and get yourself subscribed. Turn on the notification so that you can always receive or get videos first time when I release them. And also take note that these videos are for educational purpose so that you can learn my thought process with respect to how I view the chart. And also, this is a continuation of the last video that I released on 99.99% don't know Forex is this simple. So if you truly want to understand this video, just go and watch the last one because it's a direct continuation after price took out external liquidity. So I am a day trading addict. I love trading every day because there is a way market behave every day, and I seem to know what's up in the market and how to catch those moves. So let me just put you through the trades that I took after the last video, just after the last video of price grabbing daily external liquidity. All right. So like I said in that video, if you check my 4-hour, you discover that daily external liquidity has been grabbed, which is this low here. So since daily external liquidity have been grabbed, what I'm looking out for is price to give me signs of buys so that I can buy retracement onto any level that probably wants to return price downward, because Euro USD is generally bearish. All right. So I'm just looking for lower time frame, or I'm just looking for buy opportunities for as retracement. All right. So I went to my lower time frame, 15 minutes, which is the intermediary between higher time frame and lower time frame. Okay, so I'll just show you some of the trades that I took, and some of which I called in my premium signal channel. All right, so after price grabbed daily external liquidity, I started spotting or watching for signs of buys or signs of buyers coming into the market. All right, so and I spotted this. Take note that this blue area, like I've always said in my previous videos, represent Asian range. This green is London session, and after the green, this transparent part here is New York session. So let's see what transpired in price, what price did. Okay. All right. So immediately I saw this movement, I knew that the retracement that I am anticipating is about to start, because this is like a response of buyers. Right? Price didn't give me any clear reason to buy here, but I needed to just be sure that buyers are now in the market and they want to actually retrace. Right? So this is very nice for me. Okay, so really I saw this, I just knew that, okay, we are ready. This is like an accumulation. Price engineered liquidity. What happened? Price took out the liquidity, then broke structure, right? So this is like a break of structure or an intent for me. So I had two areas in mind. I had a New York base, which was here. This was New York base, of which this was an inducement. If price was to use that base, price will induce this low, and of course utilize this base right here. So price will utilize this base right here. But at the same time, this is also liquidity for the London base, which is down here. So any area below this place right here, I also want to, below this liquidity area, I also want to be interested in taking an entry. All right, anywhere below that, I want to be interested in what? In taking an entry. So those were my two POIs. And because I didn't want to miss out of the buys, right? I didn't want to miss out of the buys. So I had that in my mind. And that was where I set my limits. So, and price started coming down. All right. So I gave these limits in my channel. So it was two limits that I gave, and these were the limits. All right. And I did something a little bit tricky with these limits, which was born out of experience, because I knew that these two zones were valid. Price could use this zone and buy. It is not wrong. And at the same time, price could actually grab this liquidity here and use this zone below, to actually buy. Both are actually correct. But my entry, look at the entry for my first zone. The stop loss for the second zone, I made it a little bit into like at the midpoint of the second zone, just in case price decides to induce this first zone and snipe the second zone so that both of them will be in profit, right? So that was what I anticipated. And of course, my take profit was going to be this high. Since we are ready for retracement, we might just be forming higher highs and higher lows. So I had this as what? As my target. So let's see what price did. All right. So, and that's the entry there. I mean, that is the what's got the limit that I set in my, or that I give them in my premium signal channel, displaying on your screen right now. So, and this was what happened. Perfect. Price came. You can see price tagged us in our first entry, responded, we're in profit, and price did exactly what I said. Both bases are valid. This is New York base, this is London base. Price induced New York base and tapped into London, grabbed this liquidity, tapped into London, and of course both were in profits. And that was it. I showed you on the screen there, right? And price went and price got to my target right there. Very neat. Price got to my target. All right. So that was very nice trade. Very nice trade. You can see the entries there on your screen. Very nice trade. All right. So now I am biased now because I am actually trading retracement. So even if I want to even continue to sell, there are places up that I am aspiring to continue to sell. Number one, I have this area right here that I probably want to continue to sell because of this liquidity here. And this was the last supply before price created this expansion to the downside. And at the same time too, I have upper zones. I have upper zones that actually caused a flip in price that took out this liquidity. But let me just continue with how I was following my daily demand or my daily order flow, or my order flow rather. Okay, so this was nice. Price hit target. This was 97 pips, and this was 106 pips. So with respect to the immediate structure, I just need to follow demand order flow. You can see this was where price mitigated my points. This is high. This is low. This is lower high. I mean, this is higher high. This is my low, high, higher low, higher high, right? So of course, if you understand structure very well, and if you understand how I trade, you will note that if price is actually trending in a particular direction, let's say price is in an uptrend, most times Asian ranges are always create buy side liquidity such that price grabs it before buying. All right. Price always create liquidity such that price grabs liquidity of the Asian range, then eventually buy. But with respect to normal structure, if price is in an uptrend, it shouldn't trade below the last significant low. All right. So that was where I had as an area of interest. So this right here was my area of interest to actually continue the buy. And I gave them a limit as well. Of course, this is my Asian range, which I told you that it's mostly liquidity to validate demand that is below it or above it. All right. And of course, we're already trending upward. And I have the general bias that I am in an uptrend for now, trading the retracement after daily external liquidity grab. So this was another limit that I gave. And you can also see it right there on your screen. And definitely, I was surely targeting higher. All right, started seeing how price was pretty forming a channel, right? Because I'm not a channel trader, except if it confluences with my normal strategies, right? But at the same time, I just keep that in check because price is all about forming regular patterns. So this was going to be my take profit. This was going to be my take profit for the buy, for this new buy of this limit that I gave. But of course, where I was finally targeting was price to get to this area before giving a very good reaction to the downside. So this was 125 pips final target. And of course, this last high, 79 pips, first target. So you can also see the limits there I gave them. You can see there on your screen in my premium channel. So let's see if price activated this. All right, you can see that price tagged in. Now, when price activated this region, if price takes out this side, this will be a very good point to break even. All right. Once price takes out this side, it will be a very good point to break even. So we were still on the trade around here, and it was another day. You can see this other day, this is Asian range, and I just knew that price could actually still grab Asian range, still mitigate this zone before actually moving. But I didn't mean this high has been taken out. It would have been very good to break even. So let's just see what price did. Right? So price actually created Asian range. This is what happens daily, like daily. This is still Asian range of the previous day. And of course, price had to grab the liquidity of the Asian range, right? This happens over and over again. Price had to grab the liquidity of the Asian range the following day before price eventually moved. Now, price breaking this high is a good point to now actually now break even. So let's see what transpired, and price started trading up. And of course, price did this. So I didn't set limit at this zone, but this would have been a very nice zone to snipe this entry here. Very nice, very nice. This was a liquidity. This was an inducement that validated the zone above. Liquidity validates zones. Liquidity validates zones. But of course, with respect to my higher time frame, if you go to my, let's say maybe 4 hour, I am actually targeting higher for the retracement. Right? Let me put off this. So I am actually looking at this area for price to get to as my retracements. So you can see that this was a break of this low. This was a break of this low. And of course, we had this was our 4 hour supply just for this low was taken out. Of course, it could still be some other block here that price might use at our flip zone, of which that was where I was targeting. That price could actually or eventually get there. That was my final target of whatsoever retracement I want to. Because this I think was around 50% of this impulsive move. Above 50%. So anywhere around there is premium that is suitable enough to actually sell. All right. So let's go back to my 15 minutes. Price sniped that and started coming down. All right. So this was 1, 2, 3 trades that I took, and let's see what will happen. What happened? So price started coming down on my 15 minutes, and of course I had this as a zone 2 where I was expecting price. This was a demand, right? This was a demand with respect to order flow. Price was actually meant to obey this demand if we needed to continue the buy. So I needed to watch out for opportunities around here to see if price would give me an entry. And of course, price is already around the trend line. But I'm not a trend line trader. Some trend line trader, when it really gets there, they'll say, oh, retest of trend line, and they want to buy. No, I will definitely have to see a reason to buy. Price will always give you a reason to buy. So now that price is back to this demand, 15 minutes demand, I needed to watch out for price to see what price will do eventually. So I'm price entered into Asian range, and I spotted this. All right. So let me go to my 5 minutes. So right here, let me just explain what happened to you. So price was already at a demand, all right? Price was already at a demand, so I needed to watch out for what price was going to do. So still the same pattern. Liquidity, what happened? We had liquidity grab before intent. Always the same pattern. This was liquidity grab right before intent. And look at the structure of price when it was approaching the zone. We had lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Then what happened? Price actually broke structure. So this was a break of structure. Okay, this was a break of structure. All right, so I needed to now spot out entries, of which this was liquidity. This was liquidity. This was liquidity right there. Okay. And of course, there was a zone just below here, just below that liquidity area that I wanted to actually buy. All right. So that was my entry. That was meant to be my entry, of which just to be tolerant enough, my stop loss was below this low. All right, so this was where I had as my zone, and of course, we were out of Asian range, so this was a perfect timing. That's London mitigation rather, London mitigation. So I was expecting price to buy, and of course, if price should buy, definitely I'm targeting somewhere a little bit high. I'll be targeting this high right here. The reason why I don't want to target so far is actually because with respect to this what's it called, structure, one higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Price coming down to this place is like a break of structure for me. So I don't want to target too high, just in case the retracement band I'm looking for, it's over. Just in case it's over, this would have been a break of structure for me. So I don't want to target too far. I needed to target a zone that could easily reverse price. Okay, so that I don't find myself on the wrong side of the market, because price could actually sell from this trading range due to structure that has been taken out. But I targeted this high right here. And let's see how price mitigated this zone. So that was liquidity, validated this zone below, and price mitigated and went. So price mitigated and took off. Right? So let's see if price got to our final target. Of course, price did get to our final target. All right? Price did get to our final target. So this was 1, 2, 3, 4 trades already. Price got to our final target, and I was expecting price to actually sell somewhere around here, but I needed to be very sure of the trade that I wanted to take. And I always like price to give me a very clear sign. Let me go to 15 minutes. All right, so let's see what price did. So price started giving me a narrative that was okay, right. Liquidity always validates zone. We had this low here, isn't it? We had this low here, and of course we know that price responded from this demand and traded upward. This was a low. We had Asian low coming to form equal low with this guy right here, with this low right here. So the fact that I'm now having liquidity built up right here, it is now validating the zone below for me. It is now validating this zone below for me to continue the buy, right? So let's see price narrative. Then price came for the third time to create triple low, piling up more liquidity before that zone. On a normal day, equal low validates a zone, like liquidity of just one low validates a zone, not to now talk of double lows or triple lows, like building money around or just before this low. It's just validating the low anyhow. All right, so that was already a point of interest for me to actually trade, right? This was somewhere I actually want to trade. So my stop loss will just be 11 pips below that area right here. And let's see what price did so that we can know where to target. So price started coming down. Wow. So Immediately I saw this, that price came back the fourth time. A lot of retail traders would have called this strong support, like, oh, test the first time, test the second time, test the third time. They would have been calling this a strong support. Retail traders would have been calling this a strong support. But what I was saying was liquidity being built before a zone that will most likely or definitely validate that zone. So I had my limit set there, and I wanted to trade from there. So let's see if price tagged us in. That zone had become so very valid. Okay, let's move this. So let's see if price activated it. Let's see if price activated it. All right, so price activated the zone, and what happened? Price moved. Price activated the zone, and what? And price actually moved. So I think this high was enough to have taken profit. So that was what price did. Price activated the zone and moved nicely. Liquidity validated that area there. All right, so that was the fourth trade. That was the fourth trade right there. So let's see what happened. So we had price doing his thing. So immediately price mitigated this area right here, and price started giving a reaction to the downside and entered into Asian range. Of course, this was a break of structure after price mitigated that supply. You know, I told you that when price mitigated this and formed this low right here, it was a break of structure for me. And the fact that price got to this area now and now broke structure, it simply means that we are probably coming downward to even come and take out this high before an eventual buy, because for now we are now trending downward. All right, so immediately I spotted this move and I spotted this break of structure, and liquidity being engineered around here in form of Asian range. Of course, the next zone available upward will be actually valid for what? For a sell. Okay, so the next zone there will be valid for a sell. Just because it's Asian range, let price get out of Asian range, and London should actually mitigate that entry right there. And of course, this is a suitable target. This area is a suitable first target, and of course, even this low down here is a suitable target as well. So let's just put it a little bit up, so price, in case price doesn't get there fully. So this is around 112 pips. So let's see if New York will tag us in. This was already a break of structure. Price reacting to this supply up here, and it looks like what wants to go down. So let's see what happened. So London, Asia was over, and we had London in play right now. So, and that zone was just above there. So, and London tagged in and started selling. And London tagged in and started selling. So, and London sold. In fact, London took out this low. London took out this low. But mind you, with respect to daily structure, I was still expecting price to retrace higher, right? I was still expecting price to retrace higher. So I just needed to see more scenarios, of which this area right here now is now like a new external liquidity that probably needs to be grabbed as well for us to now trade retracement or whatsoever. And looking at all the formation of price, it looks like price has actually been ranging, right? Of which, from the law of cause and effect, we're about to experience an expansion to a particular side, and most likely to the buy side, because we are still trying to retrace. All right, so for what we can see, price have started forming like some lower high, lower low structure, lower high, lower low structure, right? So I was very much interested in buying if price gives me reasons to. All right, so let's see what price did. Let me fast forward to more recent times where I took trades.
All right. Okay, so I spotted this. Spotted how price was forming lower high and lower low here. This is high, this is low, this is lower high, lower low, right? So I was most likely going to find buy entries, but let me just go forward to. All right. All right, so immediately I spotted this. Very beautiful structure. High, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. All right. So I was planning to actually trade, look for buys. And of course, my first target for the buys will be what will be around this area. And of course, this could also be an inducement high for this area right here. So that's my second target if I could get it buy. So let me go to my intermediary time frame to spot out what we have. All right. So price took out Asian low, let's call this liquidity. And let's see for formations of price before we actually know what to do. So let's see 5 minutes will be okay. So price taking out liquidity already. Looking out for buys. Looking out for buys. All right, so price started moving sideways, sideways, sideways. This was towards the end of a particular day, and then price will soon enter Asian range. So immediately I spotted Asian range. Immediately I spotted this. Price started doing this. Doing Asian range. I just knew that, okay, Asian range here for me could be liquidity that price needs to grab before price eventually moves. But at the same time, I need to just keep my eyes open to know what price wants to do. So immediately I had this. It was an opportunity for me. Price had taken out liquidity, gave a response of this buy towards this area, and this was a trade opportunity that we spotted. Let me go back a little. So this was Asian range. Price came to demand. And of course, there was a structure break, like what we can see obviously here. Price came to demand, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. And of course, there was a break of structure, right? So like this was the last significant high that was taken out. And with respect to my flip zone strategy, the last supply that took out this demand was where we had a trade entry and we had a live session that day. So we needed to trade from this area. So that was where I traded from, and my stop loss was just below this low here, just in case. And my initial target was just here, which was 30 pips, because at the same time I felt price could actually still come and induce Asian low to buy. So this was just a very short trade for that morning. It was a very short trade for that morning. I was just targeting this high right here, and let's see what price did. So price tagged us in and of course got to target. Even though I was targeting higher, but I just had this impression that price actually wants to buy, and Asian low is mostly liquidity that price always come to induce before eventual buy. And this was just London mitigation. So price could just induce Asian low for possible New York mitigation. All right. So I still had this my zone down here. I still had this my zone down here. That price could come and mitigate. And was price mitigates, definitely targeting higher. This was my target. This here was my target for the buys. So now let's see what price did. Let's see what price did. And price came and doing New York, price tapped in, took out our Asian low. This was New York mitigation. Can you see? This was New York mitigation. That was around 1 p.m. So price tagged in our Asian, took out our Asian low and started buying. All right, so this area here was my final target for the buys. So let's see what price did. And it was a swift movement. Price started moving, and let me go to 15 minutes. So price started moving and moving and moving until it's... So when price got to this supply, I was actually willing to sell from this supply. I was willing to sell from this supply, right? I was actually willing to sell from this supply. So I was trying to notice any little thing that happens around that supply so that I could probably sell, because this is the whole of the supply up here, even though we still had one neat other block up here. But immediately price started giving me reasons for sales. I decided to try to check and see if I could get some sell opportunity here. All right, so this was the low I was expecting for price to clear before I probably want to sell. And once price clears the low, I need to now spot out for zones. So immediately price cleared the low. I went back to my 5 minutes. This was my first zone right here. I had this as my first zone for sales. And at the same time, the extreme of this mitigation, I had it at my second zone for sell. Right? I had this as my first zone for sell. My first zone for sell. And of course, this up here, my second zone for sell. Just tiny stop losses of 10 pips. But at the same time, this entire zone was actually still valid. If you come to my 15 minutes time, if you come to the 15 minutes time frame, you will see an untapped order block that price could probably use. So this was also valid for me, of which my point of invalidation is above this high, just in case price, the whole of this region is like buy to sell. But I still have this 15 minutes up here because it was close to news release and I knew that price could just be deceptive. So I gave this out in my mentorship, in my Signal group, and price violated these zones, violated 1, 2, so it was a loss. You can see the loss there on your screen in one of my accounts. It was a loss, and immediately price came to mitigate that 15 minutes order block that I talked about, which became a new zone, and I took these trades. And I was targeting lower. I had this area here as a first take profit. And this area here as a second take profit, because I needed to sell down to demand before I buy. So that is my entry there on your screen. That's my entry there on your screen. So at this area, I'm taking partials already, waiting for price to get to demand before price starts buying. And this was just when this was during ECB news. So price traded down here, so I was able to recover the losses that I made initially, which is displayed on your screen right now. So it was right about this period that the death of Queen Elizabeth was announced. That was yesterday, and I just stayed off the market to see what price wants to do. But I wanted to actually buy Euro USD if price comes lower, but price just started buying from here. But I was able to take partials, and let's see what price did. Price continued buying. And of which I know that price is most likely heading for this supply right here, and this is the current position of price. So these are things that happen daily. Once you understand the reason behind price movement, once you understand liquidity, once you understand zones that are formed and the important sessions those zones are formed, understand how price move, you will definitely be a day trading addict like me, and you spot out for opportunities every day because these opportunities present themselves. All right. So I've come to the end of the video, and I want to believe that you guys enjoyed this video, and I strongly advise that you subscribe if you have not subscribed to this channel. Turn on notifications so that you can always get videos when I release them. And I wish you a good and a happy trading life. God bless you. I remain Mr. Peak FX.